Now, with a full slate of Star Wars movies and TV shows already announced that will be further unveiled, by the way, at this year's D23 event that takes place in September, there's been a lot of things being promoted and revealed by Disney and Lucasfilm to really further enhance the Star Wars franchise. We got the Dave Filoni-centered film, we've got the new Jedi Order movie, and we've also got Dawn of the Jedi. A handful of other movies also will be announced later this year. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and without further ado, let's get right into it all. Now, the thing about Daisy Ridley is that she has been getting a lot of flack and a lot of big criticism among the fans after she was announced to be joining the cast of the new Jedi Order movie. A lot of fans like to call it simply the Rey movie to make things easier. So be it, right? But when you look at this in scenarios like Daisy Ridley coming on stage at Celebration, announcing that she is involved in the upcoming 2025 Star Wars movie, and how a lot of fans just do not want her back, even though she is going to only be a supporting character, much like how Luke was in The Last Jedi, and much like, for example, how other characters have been in many other Star Wars movies. Now, with that being all put out there and said, what's interesting about this is exactly what Daisy had to say about something very specific to the Star Wars fandom that isn't the best of news and really kind of makes fans, I believe, more, less reassured. So let's dive into this. Now, on top of this, with actress Daisy Ridley beginning to talk more about her 2025 Star Wars film, also known as the new Jedi Order movie, she went on to deliver some news and updates to the fans. Now, she went on to state the following when questioned about her film. Well, I can't really give a release date window right now. We were experiencing and expecting to drop this movie by December of 2025, but we lost one of our leads, and I know Steven is having a bit of a snag finding the right fill-in for that role, which may or may not take a couple of months to fulfill that casting decision. It's slowing us down a bit, plus we haven't finished the script just yet, so I'm really not sure if we will be able to get this thing out by 2025. We are quite possibly looking at delays. I know that Disney is already getting ready for that to happen, and it's why we didn't want to give fans a concrete release date for that movie at Celebration. Finding the right role for that lead has been tough, and I know Steven is really trying to work out the ending of this movie. Now, before I get to the next thing that Daisy talks about, guys, I don't know if you guys have been caught up to date, but yes, one of the leads did drop out of this Star Wars movie. We're still not quite sure if he or she was fired or if they intentionally dropped out of the film just because they wanted to quit this movie. It's really a big mystery at this point. Some have suggested that this lead wanted nothing to do with the Star Wars film after seeing the Rey Skywalker / Rey backlash, and there's a lot of things going on with that too. But Daisy kind of puts out a little hint here that Steven is hitting a snag, like she says, about filling in and fulfilling that role, and how it may very well take a couple of months just to find a fill-in for that role. Now that's a little concerning, because let's look at it this way. Once one movie gets delayed, it topples the others. It's like a domino effect. And the only remedy to kind of embrace with that is to swap those movies around, is the only way possible. And Daisy kind of touches on that in just a second, so let's cover that. Now, we know that Bob Iger is going to be announcing other films at Celebration, as we talked about earlier in this video. That is going to be a thing at D23. They want to make sure that though it's going to be more show-focused, it is going to have a cinema focus as well. So moving on to the next thing here, Daisy Ridley goes on to elaborate further. Once this film gets delayed, it's also going to impact the release dates of others, and we know that. Disney doesn't want that to happen. So there have been conversations, yes, about switching around the scheduling of these movies, which ones will release first or after each other, and it's been very tough for them to decide on that. It's been hard for us, too, also to get the qualified actors and actresses involved to take on the other roles, many of which are still unfulfilled to this day. So again, Ridley is confirming that there's a lot of roles out there that have not been fulfilled just yet. And yeah, we know that casting wasn't supposed to begin until later this year anyway to begin with, or early 2024, with the summer of 2024 filming stage, give or take, maybe the spring, the earliest. And so it's interesting, though, that they had an idea or had a concrete plan about who the lead was going to be played by. That all fell apart, and that's creating a big snag, as she likes to call it, for Stephen Knight, who is the writer, by the way, of the script of this movie. So, look, I mean, this is bad news for other movies getting delayed. If this does actually fall through and gets really delayed significantly past December of 2025, but it may very well be good news for a lot of fans out there. It may spell, a light at the end of the tunnel for those that do not want to see a race-centered film, alright? So it's a complex situation. Look, I'm always open to seeing what Stephen Knight has in store. If he can really reinvent the character of Rey, so be it. We know that John and Dave are going to do this, by the way, in the post-Episode 9 series. We've talked about this. It's going to take place 25 years later after Episode 9. Specifically 10 years after the New Jedi Order movie, since that's based 15 years after 9. So, simple math there. But what's interesting is that they are going to give fans a different take on the Rey character regardless in the New Jedi Order film. And that's interesting enough. If they can reinvent the character and make her better written, I'm all for it. That's all I care about. Don't create lazy storytelling or lazy writing for the character again, even though I feel that there were moments, and only say moments, in the sequels where Daisy had really great dialogue and storytelling, but a lot of which done by JJ and Ryan, it just didn't really feel right. It didn't really kind of flow very well. It's really hard to explain. So the next thing is that she says and concludes, Steven knows the sequels hold criticism and he's looking to remedy that situation the best he can with this movie. Now, separate from what Daisy stated, the director is also looking to back down from this project, who also directed a couple of episodes of Mrs. Marvel on Disney+, but that still remains on the fence by Disney. Alright, so I don't know if you guys knew this, but yes, one of the directors of Mrs. Marvel is going to be directing the Rey-centered film, this New Jedi Order movie. The director, not the writer, but she's directing it. You got Stephen Knight and the Mrs. Marvel director handling this movie. And I know a lot of fans have criticism because a lot of fans out there, especially Marvel fans, weren't too fond of Miss Marvel. When you look at Stephen Knight, a lot of people are like, who is Stephen Knight? Who is this guy? Where does he come from? What movies did he do? What shows did he make? Things like that are really kind of creating more skepticism about the New Jedi Order film. And look, hey, I'm open to new writers joining in. They don't have to be well-known, established people, but it does bring one to question. Who is he and how well is he? If you look at his track record or his writing history, he's got a lot of, failures, in my opinion, on there. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon, we hear them moans again.